coming in. Spring is springing, and that means more of us will be outside in our gardens and our flower beds, but beware, you've been stuck inside all winter, so your body isn't used to doing garden work yet. Now we have a chiropractor with us, Jeff Manning, here to talk about what you can do to protect yourself from weekend warrior injuries. Hello, Jeff.
Hi there.
Okay, first thing, what do you do? Do you get ready for it? Do you work out prior to going out?
Loosen up would be the most important thing, is to be loose, to make sure you've got everything handy. So you've got the rake here.
I got the rake, yep.
That's a good way to start, is make sure you have the right tools for the job.
Okay, now, I mean, our hands get hurt, our knees get hurt, our backs especially get hurt. Now, for a chiropractor, that you've got to have some tips here, right?
So when you have the proper way to like lift up a box, to bend your knees, is it the same for gardening?
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if you're like shoveling dirt and it's...
Yeah, again, first thing is make sure you've got the right tools. If you're trying to use too big of a shovel to dig, you're going to hurt yourself. If it's too small or too big, something like that. But important to bend your knees when you lift. Always try to lift with things closer to your body, because it gives you more leverage. So
keep your elbows at your sides rather than leaning out and lifting.
Everything in kind of tight. The closer you can do into your core, the more stability you have.
We always remember bending over and touching our toes. In school, we used to do that.
I can't do that anymore.
But,
way too old.
That's the wrong thing to do?
Absolutely. It's a good way to get more flexible, but when you're trying to generate work, then that's a good way to set yourself up for injury. You can injure a disc, you can strain your muscles, you can shift the bones of the pelvis or the spine out of place.
And you can do that without really even knowing that that's what you've done until like maybe a day later.
Right. A lot of the time, your body's okay while the muscles while the bones are a little bit misaligned, but then the muscles start to work differently because they're misaligned.
Yeah.
And you start to spiral downward.
So is it heat or cold that you should treat your back with? If you sprain something and you're feeling the pain, what should you do?
Okay, it depends on the injury. Usually, first 2 to 3 days after an injury, ice is a good way to go, but that's usually more if there's inflammation.
So we're talking like a muscle injury.
Yeah, if it's a muscle strain, muscle soreness, then either heat is what I recommend, or alternating ice and heat. So you do about 5 minutes of each for about 15, 20
A nice
minutes.
hot shower, for instance?
A nice hot shower is great.
Yeah.
Show us on your the demonstration here. What's the most popular, for lack of a better word, spot that people hurt their spine in?
I would say, down in the lowest part of the spine, L5, S1, this area down here, or a lot of the time you'll get a twist in the pelvis. This is not a very mobile area, but it can shift, and when it does, then all of the muscles that attach down into the hips and into the low back have to start to function differently. They get out of balance.
Are there exercises that we can do to prepare so that we don't injure ourselves? Are there stretches and things like that we should be doing?
Absolutely.
Working your core, right?
Warming up, before you do any kind of, even if it's just going out into the yard, just warm up. Make sure you're not cold going out there and then starting to lift. From a stretching standpoint, just basic stretches, lying on your back, bringing your knees up and from side to side. Like you asked, bending over, touching your toes, but you don't want to do anything ballistic. You don't want to force it.
Okay, and do slow moving, right? Yeah.
Slow movement. And again, even before you stretch, you want to warm up.
Okay. Well, I understand that. Now that I'm getting older, I really worry about going out there and really getting an injury. And I do. I've hurt my back before. So what should you do? Should you think of it as think of gardening as I don't know, a competition or something?
Exactly.
You got to train to get used to.
You want to pace yourself. Do a little bit at a time. When you plan to go out and do a marathon of gardening all day, you got to take breaks. You've got to be ready to do that. And it's important to make sure that your body's up for the challenge even before you get out there. So,
I'm sorry. Just a quick question for you, because then we've got to wrap it up. If you're used to dealing with the spine, but if it is a muscular thing, is there a different way that you adjust people if it's a muscular thing and not a spine thing?
There are. If it's more of a muscular injury or issue, then we'll do more passive therapies. We'll do more muscle work, stretching, maybe working on knots or adhesions in the muscles.
Right.
Okay.
And then usually you want to go in and make sure that the joints are moving correctly too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You can get more information about Jeff Manning and his clinic by going to manningwellness.com. Do it today. Thank you so much.